Hello, everyone. We're back again with Survivor South Africa, Season 9, Episode 12. Obviously, last time we had uh, Phil and Tony having a reward, which was basically they got a chance to win an immunity idol, a shared immunity idol, where each of them was going to have a half of the idol. And in order to do that, they had to place a vote for the person they think is going to be voted out next. And they both chose Shane to be the one to be voted out. And the episode ended with Shane finding an immunity idol. And turns out the immunity idol that he got was actually diplomatic immunity. And it says right in the letter that there's two versions of the diplomatic immunity, and the one who gets and plays it first is valid. The other one then becomes nothing. And I was disappointed for him. I was excited. I was like, he's got something. It's gonna ruin their plans, and it's nothing. But he still has a package and something he can show and kind of intimidate people to not vote for him. So it's still something. You just gotta play it well. And speaking of well, he goes down to the water well with Meryl and reveals to her, see right here, see right there, Shane showing Meryl the little package that he has, and he reveals to her that the idol that he had is a diplomatic immunity idol, and they all know that Miriam already played it, and his is no longer valid. So he reveals everything to her. But he explains to her he can still use it in order to intimidate people into casting votes in a different direction. All right. So, and Meryl's excited because Shane is not a threat to them. To her, he's not a threat. Socially, he's a bumbling idiot. And he's not great physically. And he's not really a threat to anyone. So, and plus he's telling her secrets, so she's willing to work with him. And also she has the tribal pass, I believe, where she can remove herself from tribal, and that would essentially keep her safe, but she can't cast a vote. So Shane has something that he can use. She has something that she can use. Dante has something he can use, even though his idol is expired. And then who else? I think Dino has something he can use. The only ones that has nothing is Phil and Palizo, I believe. And yeah, speaking of Phil comes back from the reward getaway, and he tells everyone that what he got was an extra vote. Basically, he tells them that him and Tony had to agree on a vote, and they both vote the same way. That vote becomes 3. It goes from 2 to becoming 3. So it's an extra vote that they both kind of share, which is a weird lie, and a lie that doesn't help him, because now everyone knows he's not safe. So now, where he could have kept himself safe by telling them something else, now they know he's not safe, and now they know they can vote for him, and now him and Palizo are still vulnerable. It was an idiotic decision, but that's what he chose to do. And then he tells Dino the truth. He didn't tell Dino about the possible idol that he would win, but he told Dino about the fact that they both, him and Tony, both have to vote for the same person. And he said it's Shane, so he has to get Shane voted out. All right, and Meryl, on the other hand, is talking to everyone, and she's trying to get them all to throw votes on Polisa. Yes, I think that's her name. So she's trying to get votes on Polisa because she's noticing that Polisa is very social. The reason that Polisa is very social right now is because she lost trust in Dino and Phil because of Phil's mess up, and she ended up getting close with Dante. So now she has a relationship with Dante in that group, and she has a relationship with Phil and Dino in that group. which becomes a threat to Meryl. And Meryl, being the number one social player, obviously she sees that and she wants to get rid of her. So her plan is to get rid of Polisa. So she's talking to everyone. She talked to Shane. She already got Shane on board. She didn't tell Dante, but she believes Polisa was working with Dante, and she wants to weaken Dante's side and his power going forward because she doesn't want to work with him anymore. So she's trying to get Phil and Dino on board to kind of do that. But in the process of doing that, she became a target for Dino, because Dino starts to notice that Meryl is very social and she's kind of telling him where to go, and then she's safe regardless. And he's noticing some of the weaker players like Killarney or Tasia, or any of those people that Meryl could manipulate, gives her power in the game, and he's better off getting rid of her. So he's trying to flip the votes to get rid of Meryl. And you got Phil, who wants to keep the votes on Shane. But he kind of agreed to switch the votes to Meryl because he's thinking, because him and Tony already agreed that the votes are going to be split between Meryl and Shane. So he's thinking, if the votes are flipped to Meryl, then a minimum of the votes is going to be on Meryl, and he's trusting Tony to get the rest of the votes on the other tribe to go towards Shane, and they'll still get their idol. Basically, that's his plan. All right. But Tony, on the other hand, she's talking to the blue tribe. You can see right here. All right, so you see Tony over here, Steffi, there's Killarney here, and then you got Miriam, got Tajin down here, messing with the fire, and then Felix over here. So, Tony also tells the same lie about the extra vote that they get. So she's saying they can use that extra vote to split the votes because Dante has an idol. So if he doesn't use it, they can split the votes on Dante. And her plan is they're going to split the votes between Shane and Dante. And she's telling that to her tribe. And right away, Steffi's not having that. She's aligned with Shane because Shane is a goat that she can carry through the game, and she's aligning herself with Killarney now. So she's trying to carry two people, Shane and Killarney, which is going to give her numbers, and then she's also working with Miriam. All right, so that's her plan going forward. And she didn't mention Meryl, but I think maybe if they're going to cut anyone, they're probably going to cut Meryl before each other. Her and Miriam's probably going to cut Meryl first because Meryl has the most power. I think either way, I think Meryl has the most power, but Steffi's starting to gather some social power right now, and she's starting to elevate her game a little bit. All right, so Tony's running around telling people where to vote, and it's not, people are not liking that. They're not liking that their votes are being decided for them. Except for Felix, he doesn't really care. He doesn't really care if Shane goes home. All right, so you have this power play going between all these people, and there's a bunch of advantages that's supposedly going around. Then Shane goes to Phil again and says to Phil, "I've never lied to you, and you can trust me." And then he says, "I have an idol," and he's telling Phil that Meryl came up with a plan to vote out Polisa, and he thinks it's a good idea, and they're gonna work together. And he's showing him as trust that he has, and telling him about the idol. And Phil doesn't believe it because pretty much now so many people have idols that he's not believing Shane at all, and he didn't even like Shane to begin with. So he's not believing that. He's not buying that. So they're like pretty much locked in with getting rid of with Meryl at this point. All right, and you get Steffi working on Killarney, just kind of buttering her up and telling her how they're going to work together when they merge and all this all this stuff. Felix is kind of just biding his time. I think he has a problem with Tajan, and probably maybe Tony as well, because of what happened before, where he lost a couple friends and they lied to him before. But he still has that alliance with Dino and Phil, and he possibly has an alliance with Dante as well. So that's probably gonna come to play during merge. But he's not worried about Dante at the moment, and he's not worried about Dino and Phil at the moment. So he doesn't really care who gets voted out. All right. So I think that's all. And then Palizo, uh, Palizo is noticing that there's some changes going on, and I think she's picking up on the energy that Meryl is putting down towards her. So she decided to flip back to Phil and Dino and try to work with them and get a vote. And they pretty much tell her about the Meryl vote, and she's on board to get rid of Meryl. All right. So I think that's everyone and their little drama. So we get to tribal, and right away you get two tribes about to vote, and they kind of split, and they're asking them questions, but like no one really knows what they're going to do. And then they start whispering between each other, and Nico was just like, go ahead, everyone just go ahead and talk to each other. So the tribes start freaking coming together, and they all start walking around and talking to each other. You see them there, they're just all walking around, just having a conversation with each other. And they're talking about how the votes are going to be split. And of course, between the tribes, they're revealing who has advantages, who has idols and stuff like that. And eventually they come down to realizing that the votes are going to go between Shane, Poliza, yes, and Meryl. So that's how they're thinking the votes are going to go. But Meryl is working with a lot of people that's on the blue tribe, so she has a lot of those numbers. So she's hardly going to get a majority of the votes. So they're trying to put the majority of the votes on Shane. All right. So a lot of people are confused, and their plans are changing, and they're getting kind of irritated. So it comes down to the vote after they finally all calm down. And I think Tajan was the most confused and annoyed, because I think he wanted to work with Palisa, and he's starting to realize that a couple of votes are going to be coming her way. And he was a little pissed off about that, because he thought she was in the bigger alliance that he was going to merge with. And I don't think he realized at the moment that he's way down in numbers. He's not part of a bigger alliance at all. So they go, time to vote. And I think before the votes, Shane pulls out the bag with the no longer valid diplomatic immunity, puts it on the ground as a show, and kind of changed a lot of minds. Now, no longer votes are going for Shane now. Now all the votes are going between Meryl and Palisa. And it was well played. It was well played by Shane. They voted, everyone voted, and then it's time to read the vote. It's time to read the votes. Who has advantages? Freaking no one moves, but then Dante pulls out his bag and pretty much reveals that his idol is expired. I don't know why he did that, because he didn't need to play it, because he couldn't play it anyways, and he could have kept it and keep bluffing. He could have even pulled it out and show that he has it and say he was not going to go play it today. But he didn't do that. I don't understand what that dumbass move was about. And then Shane reveals his and says, oh, his is also not valid. He could have saved that as well. I don't understand what these people are doing. And then because they're all doing that nonsense, freaking Dino's like, he doesn't play his. He's the only one that doesn't play his, and I think his is still valid until for like final six. So, wow, well played on him. But those other two, man, that was dumb. So they counted the votes, and it became 2 votes on Meryl and every other vote on Palisa, and Palisa is voted out. And she took it very well. Like, look at that stoicism on her face. Like she's not even bothered, bro. Like that's one tough chick. So she gets voted out, and they move to merge, and it's finally merge time. All the tribes emerge, but it was it was a very exciting episode, I gotta say. I loved it. So till next time.